Cool. So today we're talking about the 9 millimeter caliber versus the 380 caliber for defensive use in handguns. We have a lot of information to cover, so I will try to do so as concise as possible. Um, Undoubtedly, 9 millimeter is the most popular caliber for handgun nowadays. You purists that like 45 ACP, please don't be mad at me. I love you guys too. But it's hard to argue that 9 millimeter is the most popular because it is used for both duty, for carry, civilian uses. People shoot it for competition. It is the most versatile caliber and the most widely used caliber across the board. That's why I say it's the most popular caliber. Especially for carry. Most people, if they're carrying a handgun, it will be a 9 millimeter because you get a very good balance of capacity, performance, and ease of use, shootability, that kind of thing. And those are the three kind of main points we're going to talk about with the 9 millimeter versus the 380 ACP, which is probably the second most popular carry caliber. You've got your kind of big three. I'm going to say are 9 millimeter, 380, and 38 special because a lot of people like snub nose revolvers. They're very widely used. But today we're going to be talking about 9 millimeter versus 380 caliber, just because they are so similar. So a bit of a fun fact or information for you. The 380 is in reality just a shrunken version of the 9 millimeter. A lot of people don't know that. It was designed in Europe, same as was the 9 millimeter Luger. Over there, they'll call it 9 millimeter Browning Court or 9 millimeter short because that's realistically what it is. It's a shorter projectile and a shorter casing and a little bit different diameter, but they are really similar bullets. But because of those weight differences, the pressure differences, they perform a lot different out of handguns in similar sizes. So today, similar size handguns, we have the Smith & Wesson M&P 380 EZ. We've already cleared these, so I'm going to have the slides forward for the remainder of the video. And the Glock 48, which is my personal carry gun right now. I love both of these guns. I have a Glock 48. My buddy has a Glock 48. My mother, grandfather, and wife all have Smith & Wesson M&P 380 EZs. Because it is an excellent handgun for carry. You get a little bit more capacity than most 380s will, a bigger grip, so it's very, very shootable. So let's just start with the first one I talked about, capacity. So with a 9 millimeter versus a 380, typically you are going to have a lot less capacity in the 380 caliber. Comparable sizes and thicknesses with the Glock 48 and the M&P 380 EZ. The Glock 48 holds 10 plus 1, so we'll say 11. And the 380 holds 8 plus 1, so we'll say 9. Disparity of 2 rounds. I'm of the thought that 2 rounds can save your life. 2 rounds can end a gunfight. You know, those bullets can do a lot of things. 2 rounds can be 2 bad guys if you know what you're doing. So capacity, you always want to get as much as humanly possible. And recently even, somebody is coming out with a magazine that holds 15 rounds and is flush fit for the Glock 48. So you have as much capacity as I think humanly possible for a platform that's this size. That's as much as a full-size Glock in a carry package. That something is not available for any 380 gun. You're not going to be able to get 15 rounds, even with a magazine extension, really, and without it being obnoxious, sticking way down past the frame, several inches, maybe even 4 or 5 inches down past the bottom of the frame. Because 380s need to be single stacked. You got the Ruger LC380, the Smith & Wesson we have here, the Ruger LCP. All of those are single stack, and they all hold less than 9 rounds, all of them, in the magazine. That is okay, but I would not use it for a primary gun. So capacity is won by the 9 millimeter just because of the availability of platforms. You have a lot more guns that can hold a lot more bullets than you do with 380s. Let's move on to performance. The 9 millimeter has more oomph behind it. Just because of the weight that it has, the overall size and pressure of the powder. We've got a couple bullets here, just some round nose or slightly flat nose target ammunition. You can see the size difference between the two. One is much shorter, that is the 380. Not only that, but the slug is not seated near as far into the casing as it is with the 9 millimeter. So as big as the 9 millimeter looks outside of the casing, past the rim, it goes down even farther in. So there's a lot more weight behind it. Weight alone gives you more energy at your point of impact. You know, you hit something harder, whatever force is behind it, the harder object will have more force delivered, just because it weighs more. Then you add on the bigger casing with more powder and more pressure. So the 9mm is both going faster and has more power behind it, more weight behind it to deliver energy to your target. So the 9mm is a bigger round, but it is still fast. It's not like a 45 that's a slow pitch softball flying in the direction of whatever you're shooting at. It's still moving really fast. So you're not really losing anything as far as velocity goes there. That's why the 9mm is popular as it is. So then moving on from performance, we're going to get to shootability. The 380 in a full-size platform is more shootable than the 9mm. You get the same thing. This transfers to, 22 long rifle. 22 long rifle is so easy to shoot. It feels like the gun isn't even operating because there is so little weight to the bullet and so little pressure in the cartridge itself. You can just shoot it and shoot it and shoot it, and your sights barely move as long as you have a decent grip on the handgun. But that doesn't mean 22 long rifle would be a better choice for carry usage. We'll talk about an overall view of them in a second. The 380 is more shootable than the 9mm. Mag dumps, even pacing your shots, the gun is easier to hold on to as long as it's a full-size gun. There is less pressure, so it recoils very little. It's easy to put pressure on the frame and keep your sights down. Easier than the 9mm. I think a 9mm is very shootable because I've been shooting one a long time. I got big hands, so a 9mm works well for me. But even I can't argue that the 380 is easier to shoot. There's just less going on with it. There's less energy that you have to control, and therefore it's easier to shoot. But there's one caveat to that. Not a lot of 380s are in a size platform like the Smith & Wesson 380 EZ. This is one of the only 380s that has a full-size grip that you can actually grab onto and hang on to. If you shoot an LCP, you are absolutely not going to be able to be as quick or as accurate as you are with a 9mm in a similar size as the Glock 48 or the Sig Sauer P365 or the Glock 43 or the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield. All small 9mm, all really loud guns that flip a little bit because there's not as much mass to hold on to. Still easier to shoot than something that small with a 380. A lot of 380s are those micro pistols. So yes, the 380 is more shootable depending on the size of the gun. I mean, if you put a 380 in something the size of a Glock 34, that's going to feel amazing. I mean, it's going to be so easy to shoot. You're going to be able to hit whatever you're aiming at really fast as well, because it is such a easy to hold on to gun with not a lot of energy. Now, I know that wouldn't work as far as like slide weight and springs and stuff, so you can hold your comments. I know that wouldn't work, just as an example. So let's talk about implementation of these into your carry, who would use what I recommend, what I personally use. A lot of it is up to opinion. Try these guns out yourself, hold on to them. If you got somebody that has a 9mm and a 380, try them both, see what you like. It depends on what works for you. So my opinion is my opinion, and that's all it's worth. That being said, let's move on. The 380 is a lot better for a few things. If you have really small hands, if you have a little bit weaker grip, maybe arthritis, or like I said, small hands can contribute to that. So you need something with lighter springs or a little smaller that you can manipulate easier, or as a tertiary option. Other than that, the 9mm is typically a better choice. My wife is 5'3", maybe 5'4". She probably weighs 110 pounds maybe, and she can shoot a 9mm almost as well as I can. So it depends on what you're comfortable with. She still shoots her M&P 380 EZ better because she likes it better. It's easier to shoot for her, it's lighter, and she just has more fun shooting it because she doesn't have to put as much effort into controlling it as a 9mm. So she carries the M&P 380 EZ, whereas I carry a Glock 48 because I like the capacity, I like the force that it delivers. It's the same ammo as what would be my duty weapon, so I prefer the 9mm myself. But the 380 is still a really good choice. Now, I have an LCP that I often carry as a tertiary option. So, you know, you've got your duty gun, a backup gun is something like this. If you wanted a really small gun for God forbid whatever scenario that could be helpful for, a 380 is a really good option because while it is super small, it still does deliver a good bit of energy, more than a 22 would. So you can get decent performance out of something that's the size of a playing card, really. A lot thicker, but the same dimensions. That's going to be the main area that the 380 shines, is as a tertiary or a backup option. A lot of people carry one gun that may be a 9mm and use a 380, a really small one, a pocket pistol, as a tertiary option. A buddy of mine has an LCP, and a quote I'll steal from him is, "It's the gun I carry when I'm not carrying a gun." So if you're wearing shorts, you're going to the gym, you're running around, you don't want to be carrying this gun, you don't want your big holster on, you're not wearing a belt for whatever reason, a 380 pocket pistol is a great choice. You know, tuck it away somewhere, you can't even feel it. It feels like your keys in your pocket or something, and it's not even as heavy as your keys. So that's a really good option. Other than that, typically I'll recommend a 9mm if you can handle it. If your grip strength allows, and if your frame allows you to carry one, there's no reason to not choose the caliber that performs a little better. The 9mm can outshoot the 380 both in power and in distance, and it has a lot more capacity. So if you don't want to think of it as more bullets is more bad guys, then more bullets is more chances you have to hit what you're aiming at, because we're not perfect. Everyone misses some of their shots. So the more you have in the magazine, the more forgiveness you have if you do miss a shot. Both of these guns and both of these calibers are excellent choices. That's why they're as popular as they are. The 9mm will outperform the 380, but the 380 is much easier to shoot than the 9mm and is a great option both in the larger guns and in its much smaller platforms where it really shines. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. I'm Dean with Old English Outfitters, and we will see you next week.